Good to see you. You look so worried. Is everything all right? I'm having serious issues in my company. Balancing the interests of my company's many stakeholders like shareholders, management, customers, financiers, government, and communities giving us a problem. That has to do with corporate governance. Exactly. Then you need to get in touch with ICSAN.
ICSAN?
Yeah, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. ICSAN. They provide you with seasoned and top-ranking professionals trained to uphold the standards of corporate governance and efficient operations. You can also get in touch with
ICSAN.
If you want to become a Chartered Secretary and Administrator, contact
ICSAN
by visiting the website
www.icsan.org
or call 009 06 601 69.
ICSAN,
the hub of governance professionals.
Great morning to you. Welcome to Corporate Governance Platform on Eco 89.7 FM. Today, Wednesday, the 4th of August 2021, the very first edition for the month of August. My name is Olabisi Omidire, and I'll be standing in for Fumi Omoburiowo. On Corporate Governance Platform this morning, our focus is on nature and importance of board evaluation in corporate governance. Nature and importance of board evaluation in corporate governance. Our guest is Mrs. Marilyn Eze, FCRS Council Member, ICSAN. Mrs. Eze, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Olabisi.
All right.
Hope you're doing fine.
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Olabisi.
All right. And I'm being joined also by Mr. Kayode Ketefe, Head of Research, ICSAN. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much from BC.
All right. We can start on a full throttle. Remember, our focus is on nature and importance of board evaluation in corporate governance. Mrs. Eze, what is the purpose of evaluation of directors?
Thank you, Olabisi. I think the purpose of evaluation of directors really stems from the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, and because we're being heard by a wide audience, permit me to give a brief background. Now, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria is empowered to provide rules on corporate governance practices for public and private sectors, and pursuant to this, the Financial Reporting Council has made the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance, which came into force in 2018. So this document, in its Principle 14 and 15, does provide for board evaluation. Actually, Principle 14 provides for an annual board evaluation for companies, and Principle 15 provides for an evaluation of the company's corporate governance practices. So the purpose of board evaluation, to my mind, is the code is moving away from the voluntary requirements for board evaluation, and it's trying to move away from best practice to being a mandatory requirement for especially listed companies.
Okay.
So this board evaluation kind of gives a robust and objective view to the board's effectiveness towards self-improvement, and it tries to demonstrate to the shareholders that the board is doing its duties optimally, and the outcome of the board evaluation tells us that the board is self-aware of its strengths, its inefficiencies, and it has capacity to take remedial action where the evaluation has been found wanting or needing improvement. Thank you.
All right. So who are those to be evaluated, and in what ways is evaluation carried out?
Okay, so, the code does also tell us who should be evaluated, and it lists them as the board as a whole, its functionality, the way it's configured, is the dynamism within that board. The board committees will be evaluated. also the chairperson of the board will be evaluated because he is the leader of the company, and he sets the agenda and the strategy for the company. Also to be evaluated are the different directors. And in a company, we have different directors playing different sets of roles. So each director should be evaluated as against the roles they play. The code introduces independent executive directors, and this set of people will be evaluated in terms of the objectivity which they should bring on board. Executive directors will be evaluated in terms of their ability to support the CEO on the day-to-day management of the company, as well as the non-executive directors. So the code is also looking at evaluation of the whole corporate governance of the company, its corporate governance practices. So these are who should be evaluated, and on how these people should be evaluated. The code also states that in recommendation 14.2 and 14.3 that it should be evaluated against the backdrop of the mix of skills they bring to the board, objectivity, competence of members, strategic direction, even attendance to meetings are things that the board should be evaluated on. So how the evaluation should be done, it's really about the methodology of the evaluator. He could use surveys, questionnaires, open-ended questions, closed sessions with the board, peer review, self-assessments. All these things are part of what the evaluator may deploy in conducting the evaluation.
Okay. Well, the part of the process should be externally facilitated by an independent external consultant at least once in 3 years. Why do you think the code requires external facilitation every 3 years?
Yeah, like I said earlier, this particular code is kind of moving away from the different sectoral codes which we used to have in the past, in the sense that it's being more practicable. I feel that the code is trying to make its provisions tailor-made to fit companies of various sizes and complexities. So when you're subscribing 3 years, what the code seeks to do is to get what is done in practice codified, because sometimes when this evaluation comes out, it takes as much as 3 years to implement them. So if it says once in 3 years, it's given the company enough time to implement the results of its last evaluation. Also, it does give the company an opportunity to take the alternative of having an internal valuation in the years in between the 3 years. For instance, you could have an internal valuation and 2 internal valuations, and then on the 3rd year you have an external valuation. So it's more or less giving companies time to implement the results of its evaluation. Thank you, Labisi.
All right, and now the code also provides where the performance of a director is considered to be unsatisfactory, the board should provide appropriate training to address the identified gaps. Now, Mrs. Aze, don't you think this provision may attract additional cost for the company?
Yes, it does attract additional cost, but the important thing is the company, where it does an evaluation, should seek to implement what the evaluation says. And the company may also want to have, these outcomes of its evaluation phase or, implemented in piecemeal to reduce costs. Generally, these companies would like to do a cost-benefit analysis to see if they could reduce costs on the implementation. It's not looking at board evaluation. It shouldn't be seen from a cost perspective, but definitely it helps the company on the long run, and it's simply not acceptable to ignore the gaps because of cost.
Okay, it's still Corporate Governance Platform on the Core 89.7 FM, a program sponsored by ICSAN, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. We have been speaking with Mrs. Marilyn Aze, FCIS Council Member ICSAN, who is still speaking on the nature and importance of board evaluation in corporate governance. Now, moving on, it is further provided in the code thus. The results of a director's performance evaluation should be considered in the director re-election process. What is the rationale behind this provision?
Yeah, I think the code just goes on to tell us that after an evaluation, the results of that evaluation should be used. And, it's not just enough to have an evaluation done and not use it. The evaluation should be the basis of very important things like the re-election of directors. It should be considered strongly.
Okay, moving on now. Given the importance of evaluation in the context of corporate governance, does the Institute render service of conducting evaluation for companies and firms who require this service?
Thank you. Like I said, the code came into being in 2018, and the Institute has risen up to the challenge of conducting evaluation for companies. The Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria has trained the trainers certification course on board evaluation, and it held its first one in November 2020. Yours truly was one of the participants, and then on satisfactory completion by participants, the Institute issues a certificate of corporate governance and board evaluator certification. And the issue has been very proactive in responding to new regulation and implementing the gaps which this new regulation will have. The important thing the Institute tries to do is to quickly standardize this process, which the new regulation has provided for, to avoid it being run over by quacks. The Institute does have a register of certified corporate governance trainers in its secretariat, and as more training goes on, it will then build people with capacity for this specialized skill of board evaluation, and the number of qualified board evaluators would increase with time.
Okay, so on the last note, what advice do you have for companies and organizations who conduct evaluation annually or periodically but fail to act on the result of such exercise?
Well, this is akin to going for a medical checkup and just filing away the results of your medical checkup. Such a company would suffer for it on the long run. The results of board evaluation should actually be used constructively. The results should be summarized in a review session with the board, interactive dialogue cells, and decisions reached on how to, implement the issues that were thrown up. Ideally, a company should have an action plan of 12 to 18 months, a roadmap to rectifying issues or improving the board. It's not a put-down process. It's aimed at improving the board. So I actually, to wrap up, I think that board evaluation, when well designed, does create positive impact for companies.
All right. Okay, I must appreciate you, Mrs. Marilyn Eze, FCIS Council Member, ICSAN, for taking our time to speak on the issue this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Labisi.
Right. Moving on to Mr. Kayode Ketefe. Let me ask you this. Does ICSAN also have guidelines, materials on how the evaluation is to be carried out?
Thank you very much, Labisi. Let me start by saying that ICSAN has been training many stakeholders on board evaluation for some time now, and notably, she has also been training what those we call train the trainers, who will train others. So, train the trainers project has been continuing. We have also in the offering a number of publications on the subject of for the education and enlightenment of all stakeholders on board evaluation. Actually, ICSAN has produced guidance on board evaluation serially in the past. But like every other area of corporate governance, board evaluation is a dynamic subject. Thus, we keep on updating our materials on the subject. As a result of this, we are producing, among other things, another guidance material on board evaluation this year. To be precise, The next edition of our company secretary handbook is dedicated to the theme of board evaluation and corporate governance evaluation. You can look forward to it. Let me say all our stakeholders should look forward to it. We shall duly notify the public when the material is published. In addition to this, the Institute has in stock a number of trainings on board evaluation which routinely take place across states of the Federation. So we are using this medium to invite interested stakeholders to these serial trainings, which shall be announced as each of them draws near. Thank you very much on that.
Okay, for those who might want contact details, how can they get in touch?
For contact details, they can access our website. All the information they need is there. So let me round up by making an announcement on the forthcoming invitation of the president of the institute. This is to inform exam members, stakeholders in professional education and governance fields, as well as members of the public generally, that the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria will hold the investiture of our 28th president and chairman of the governing council, Mr. Taiwo Bengawo Kalade, FCIS, on Tuesday, August 10, 2021. The event will hold at the Shell Hall of the Muson Center, Marina, Onikan, Lagos, at 11 a.m. prompt. The chairman of the day is the Director General of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, Professor Abubakar Ho Sulaiman. For more information on this investiture, please contact Afolabi on 080-943-67759. Let me tell you that again. Please contact Afolabi on 080-943-67759. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kaude Ketefe, FCIS, Head of Research, ICSEN. At this point, we draw the close on the program. And our focus today, nature and importance of board evaluation in corporate governance, with Mrs. Marilyn Eze, FCIS Council Member, ICSEN, as the guest. My name is Olabisi Omidiri. Do join us same time next week, Wednesday, on Eco 89.7 FM for another edition of ICSEN Corporate Governance Platform. Good morning.
Hey, Obinna, good to see you. You look so worried. Is everything all right? I'm having serious issues in my company. Balancing the interests of my company's many stakeholders like shareholders, management, customers, financiers, government, and communities giving us a problem. That has to do with corporate governance. Exactly. Then you need to get in touch with ICSAN.
ICSAN?
Yeah, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. ICSAN. They provide you with seasoned and top-ranking professionals trained to uphold the standards of corporate governance and efficient operations. You can also get in touch with
ICSAN.
If you want to become a Chartered Secretary and Administrator, contact
ICSAN
by visiting the website
www.icsan.org
or call 009 06 601 69.
ICSAN.
The Hub.